We got some work to do. Tessie's not prepared to make a recommendation. She left earlier. But I think the distinction comes in, not whether you can go to two strikes, you can. The distinction comes in whether you make it only CDL drivers are subject to the one strike and the non-CDLs are two strikes. And Tessie didn't have an answer tonight, so
Fairness issue definitely exists there, and you could also make the argument that you want your workplace to be a drug-free thing, not just because of morality, but statistically, sometimes people who are prone to use drugs might also be prone to steal to support that habit. I think y'all just demonstrated by your previous thing about loans being compassionate. I think you want to make this a great place to work, and I think working in a drug-free zone is a perk. So, y'all want to just let's see what the town attorney comes up with?
Yeah.
All right. Moving along to account and finance. Mr. Nash, y'all had a not too big an agenda. You got
we have where's Josh? He's not even here tonight.
Josh is not here.
He's fixing to get a raise, not even coming to council.
Discuss the
Lord have mercy.
this coming year's bus budget. That was the main reason we met, because he needed to get that advertised, I believe, for
That's correct.
the transit people quick. Do we need to?
I'll just give you the highlights very quickly. Some of you may wonder, how did Josh determine he was going to get that big of a raise? Or those raises are still all subject to town council approval. Indeed, if we don't ask for any rate increase, then the state won't and the federal government won't pay their share. So Josh put an arbitrary figure in there for himself and for Janet and for the other. The bus drivers, I think that was a little more calculated, and Josh asked me what to do there, and I said, well, we're paying the CDL drivers that work for the town 14, and we still got people that are under $10 driving the bus. So this would be an expectation. Now, the majority of that cost will come from the different lines. Brunswick line, Nottaway line, all those kinds of folks would have to pay some of that increase. But the 14 is to make it on par with the,
This would take these proposed raises. Bus drivers going to 14-hour and would take effect when?
it would take effect July 1st. Would be
July 1st. So this is basically we're getting a sneak peek of his budget and approving his budget in advance.
We got to do his before we do ours because their schedule and their timeline is different.
All right. And just for the audience benefit, what are most bus drivers making now? 12, 13 an hour?
No, I'd say between 10 and 11 bucks.
Okay.
Even the ones that have been here. Now, they're part-time.
Right.
But we won't be taking on the benefits portion of it. And the majority of the cost will be distributed to the lines or the counties or communities that they serve. Dinwiddie, Petersburg, Brunswick. We're just much lower.
What is it's lumped in the main salary sum from what the previous years are. But what, just so everybody knows, what is Josh currently making?
Jennifer? Uh-oh, stumped.
He's
We
going to.
started him in 2017 at 38,000.
Right.
So we've had a couple raises
From
since
what I
then.
saw, I think it was 43 to 44 is what I saw.
He's going to 50 in this proposal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how much of that, the 75% of that is funded by the federal transit?
That's correct. That is correct.
And explain in here,
He's below 40.
okay.
All right. And just FYI, he does oversee how many, 8 county regional
Pretty
transit?
large.
Just, I know 50, I just wanted the audience to know the whole picture.
We're not prepared to say $50,000 is salary. We're doing the salary study, but we know if we don't include it now,
We can't get it.
you don't get it. You ain't getting nothing.
It says the local match for the town of Blackstone with these adjustments that we've talked about, bus drivers' salaries, bus shelters, bus sign replacement, building improvements, and bus replacement. These adjustments will total $38,986. This is a decrease from the previous year of $44,000.
But I think the decrease is in the capital project, maybe fewer buses.
So even with the $52,000 worth of bus shelters, it will still be a decrease in the town's match.
Yep. All right. So we're going to go higher on salaries this year, less on capital.
Hard to.
We're going to go, I think it is a decrease in the capital, and the salaries would increase if you guys were to support the $50,000 salary and all those kinds of things. But I would advocate now for the bus drivers to get their comparable salaries.
Town manager is asking for a motion to approve these proposed salary changes, which is bus drivers at 14 an hour, Josh to make 50,000, Janet Matthews to make 12,900, and Mary Murphy to make $27,040 a year. And then you have the bus shelters, 52 grand, bus sign replacement 2 grand, building improvements 8 grand, and bus replacement 80 grand. And as Mr. Nash said, our local match is down by almost 10%.
I gave Josh a lot of kudos because bus shelters, $52,000, they're well needed in
Yep,
Blackstone.
they are. Who wants to make the motion to be Santa Claus in January? Ms. Thompson's made the motion, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Nash is seconded. Any further discussion? We'll have a roll call vote, starting with Ms. Haslam.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. You have treasurer accountability.
And we just kind of went over it, just talking about how to read it a little bit more in depth. But you do have attached the budget calendar for this year. All this is it's just trying to keep us on track.
I love it.
It's not exact. This is something Ben Green started. I mean, it's all, if someone can't be here on April 15th, we can move it to whatever.
Better
Just
to start
tries to
early,
keep
though.
us in that range of time.
Yeah, none of these have been called, we just try to get them
Yeah,
in.
so that's informational. Just look at it. If you have an issue, contact Jennifer and we will try to accommodate.
Very good, very good.
And most of these are just for the finance committee
That's correct.
until you get into June and the end of June.
That's when council will start doing things. Thank you, Mr. Nash. Anything else on finance?
That's it.
We now move to the Buildings, Property, and Cemetery Committee. They've had a lot of discussions, not a lot of actions recommended. Madam Chair?
Okay, yes, we had a busy agenda. And the first one was annual checklist for our town-owned buildings, and I would like to slash properties in that. Mr. Van Norbeck is going to be coming up with a schedule so none of the buildings will slide through the cracks, any kind of maintenance issues or upkeep we need to have. We're painting the light poles. We're going to use a light pole that's down at the shop. Is that what we're planning on doing?
I think we can either do C-Park, but we need to make it the same exact type of pole that we have downtown, so the paint sticks.
Okay.
And I think some of those in the park may be kind of older style, if you
Oh,
look at them.
okay.
They're more of a fluted column, a little bit older. The ones downtown are aluminum. The ones in the park, I think, are iron or steel. So I had recommended that we just paint the one in front of Town Hall.
It was a guinea pig. See how it
Brown
looks like.
Street. And it was a Williamsburg green, if I'm not mistaken. And paint one, see what everybody thinks, and if we get a favorable review, then I can present to you a cost estimate to do them all, if there's something you'd like to do. But I'm very pleased with that painter that did the tavern.
Did an excellent
and he's
job.
gonna give me a cost estimate to see how much we're jumping into.
Very good.
Next was the hometown hero banners, and Ms. Daniel is going to
And he's going to be here Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Awesome. So we can get started on that, so we can have the banners, that program started from Memorial Day to Veterans Day, to have the banners in town for.
Mosca's going to come and give us a way to bid it out.
And we'll write a spec sheet.
He can do a spec sheet so we can bid it out to let people know if they're interested in providing a
This will be
place.
similar to programs like Colonial Heights, South Hill. There's other towns that have the banners that celebrate the military heroes that we've had.
So we're going to unveil that. We're going to launch that this year.
This year.
Yes.
Great.
We want to do that.
How are we going to get the word out for the families that want to have a banner of their loved one? How are we going to?
Advertising your lovely paper.
Okay. I recommend it fully. Move this
And
right.
maybe town utilities bill,
Yeah, we
maybe.
could do something like that, but Philip thought it should be bid out before we just jump
Yeah.
into it.
Right.
So-
Very
So
good.
we'll know a price. Because
Absolutely.
we're not gonna make anything off of it. We're just passing the cost along.
Very good.
Okay, and next is Pick Up Your Pride cleanup. That was a proposal about Richmond. Do you have something more on that?
It's in there.
Oh,
It's an attachment. The little flyer,
okay, from Richmond?
yes.
Okay, and we have an attachment, okay, I see it here. The, what Richmond County has done a cleanup blitz, and they run it from April 1st to April 25th. And this could coordinate with local churches, clubs. Rotary's gonna have their cleanup, Pick Up Your Pride Day on the 25th of April or 26th, whatever that Saturday is.
Scout groups can join.
Join in, but they give them a window of the first to that Saturday as being, and then having a contest with prizes for the most trash picked up or
Most
whatever.
unique item.
Most unique item, yeah.
Most money found.
And like I said, that can run the gamut.
So anyway, we'd like to go ahead and get started on that and get the flyers prepared. Zachary, you just need more details, is that correct?
I guess the main thing is, does this council, is it okay for us to advertise that the town of Blackstone will pay $500 to the first place, $250 to second place, and then other honorable mentions? to
Is
pick
that
up the
gonna
trash.
be
in our town.
awards or what? I mean,
It'll
it's
be-
gonna be
Like
judged.
your
or-
VFW can go pick up trash and take pictures of the trash and then send it to town hall and show how much trash you picked
I
up.
might like to challenge his ward.
Yeah, it
against
could
my
be,
ward.
yeah, it
That's
could
right,
be
yeah.
boards.
yeah.
B
I might
versus
wanna
A.
challenge yours,
It
yeah.
could be, yeah.
You might want to challenge mine.
That's right.
But did we do it?
Lonnie's that
I would
large.
like to propose that we do the town pick up the prize money for that.
I'm making a motion.
Yeah, making that a motion.
Second.
Up to how much?
500 for first, 250 for second, and maybe up to up to $300 honorable mentions.
That's
I
fine.
want to cap it at three
Yeah,
honorable
3,
mentions.
100,
We spend money on far more money on less worthwhile. I think litter is
And we get litter
my
grants.
pet
each year.
peeve.
So is that
So-
1,000? Is that,
It totals about 1,200,
okay, so is that, do y'all wanna say,
up to $1,200 on awarding prizes. And the motion's been made and seconded, made by Ms. Hasbrook, seconded by Mr. Nash.
I did have a question from
Yes.
Councilman Nash. We do receive about $2,100 a year in litter grant.
Okay, very
We
good.
typically buy trash cans for.
Been buying trash cans for 10 years.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Adopt a street.
Yay, thank you. Okay. The next item we talked about was adopt a street signage, and we are recommending the town staff remove the adopt a street signs that are in town and return them to the owners because they're currently.
I think your daughters have one. don't
My
they?
daughters are on a sign, and they may have helped Daddy pick up trash once. It needs to say, but never mind. We welcome that side of my home.
There's several that people don't live in town anymore and that sort of thing. They're probably 10+ years old. So we'll remove them. The only one that we're not planning on removing is the one the Rotary Club, because I think it's still active.
Very active.
And that's in the Episcopal yard. And we may try to attach that to that existing sign so there's not two right there in front of each other.
Excellent. Love that. I think we agree by common consent on that.
All right. very
Carriage
good.
Museum.
Carriage Museum, just a lot of stuff going on there. The parking lot plan is ready. We're doing the bidding process. We've asked Mr. Van Norbeck to contact Bobby Thomas about his plans for a blacksmith shop and want to be a museum or to be used. Now, my understanding is to be a usable museum. Yeah, so that's going to make a difference on the plan of the building.
Yes, I think it's the intention that we would build something comparable to what we built in the cemetery. Town guys did it with some changes with some of the louvered windows and that sort of thing. But I haven't spoken to Bobby. Just I remind council that this comes out of the original application for the Carriage Museum, and I can't say it was committed to, but certainly there was recognition that it was in the application when we met with VDOT several months ago, and the Carriage Museum parking lot and the blacksmith shop. We're getting ready to do both of those. In fact,
I've had some people wanting to comment to me, they'd like for it to be historically correct, but if it's historically correct, it would put the budget way
Yeah.
beyond what
it'll
we
look
got for the
rustic.
grant.
I can guarantee that.
Rustic is good.
It'll be rustic.
But we need it secured.
Yeah, be secure, and it'll have some windows where people could see what was going on, perhaps, or ventilate the building if something was too smoky. But I will let you guys know that I have advertised, and there are bids on the street, and you should be reading in the newspaper this week that the Carriage Museum parking lot has been bid out for, and bids have been solicited.
That's great. It's great
Some
news.
other things there that we're doing for the museum, so, anyway, we did table the part-time help for the museum until the tourism plan comprehensive plan is completed. Then we talked about the Nottaway, school buildings previously, and, I guess we're at a standstill right now.
I have spoken with the site contractor, the demolition contractor. He's more than happy to give us a cost estimate. And I've spoken with Perry Pence, who's with Rugby Environmental, who did the asbestos assessment, testing, sampling
Right.
in the two buildings that I've already had done, and both buildings are hideously full of asbestos. But he will give me a written estimate. He estimated, and I reported to the committee, $30,000 to $50,000, but that may or may not change. But he's gonna put it in writing. I remind everybody that I got a cost estimate probably in 2011 to demolish those buildings. And from SB Cox, that was 136. I think we're in the 150 range now, but let me get it in writing, and we'll have another committee meeting, and my expectation that we'll bring it up as an agenda item at the February meeting.
Let's add to that, try to calculate what tipping fees would cost, obviously, since it doesn't sound favorable, because you have to add that to the budget.
Well, if you read the letter, and I think there's one at your table that Ryan Moore sent me today, and I think we got it today. In the
They're not waiving the fees.
It smells mighty funny.
I can just tell you, I go to these meetings, they're not waiving the fees. They haven't said that yet, but they're getting ready to say it.
They're not in favor of tearing down these buildings, and I think this may be the way that they can do that. But the end result is, majority of that material is brick, and it shouldn't go in a landfill anyhow.
They shouldn't. It could be recycled and used by some.
I've tried to propose to Ronnie that he use it as alternate cover, maybe crush it or something like that, and deaf ears. So we have another option. We have a recycling facility here. If it's an inert material, we can even use it as fill somewhere. So we're gonna try every direction.
Sell a brick.
Huh?
Sell a brick.
It's just a brick. You can just crush it and make sand out of it, or you can make, and that's how Lawrenceville Brick makes dirt for baseball fields. Crushed up
dust.
bricks is what
Brick
it
dust.
is. So I don't think the county saying no is a kiss of death, but it's certainly not moving us forward.
I want to thank Nathaniel too for his work on this. Made some progress with that. And I do think we need a place for the Gators to work. We need to work on that.
I would like the council to take a look at that letter from Ronnie, and I would like to respond to him. Obviously, and there are 3 questions that they specifically ask, and obviously, the town will certify that there's no asbestos or hazardous material transported to the county. We've said that once already, and I guess they want confirmation. Please furnish an estimate of the volume, either in cubic tons or yards, for the material to go in the landfill. We just gotta figure out, it's a chicken or the egg. Do we say we're gonna take the brick somewhere else, or do we give them a worst case scenario and then take the bricks off? But I'll figure that out. In a previous conversation, you indicated that brick masonry would not go to our landfill. Is that the current plan? That is not the conversation. I asked him if he could use it as alternative daily cover, and that it shouldn't go in the landfill, but the county could help us by finding an alternate use.
Well, I mean,
If it were me, and my recommendation ultimately, once I get my prices and all that sort of thing, would be not to take the bricks to the landfill, irregardless of our satisfaction with the county's response. It's not a good use of landfill space. You know, it's a material that can be repurposed for something.
Agreed.
And even if you have to pay, if there's $37 a ton for debris, if you pay a quarter of that, it's still not good, but it's better than paying $37 to stick it in a landfill and
get all alternative costs. Obviously, all this has to come forward. And, I mean, that's a big ticketed item for all of this together, so get all your prices together.
I'll have them at the next committee meeting,
We'll have
and
the next committee meeting. We do have a continuance of the committee
This Friday.
this Friday, so
I hope to have it by Friday.
I see Park.
The meeting is-
included in that.
Yeah, I hope
All
to
right.
have it caught up by Friday.
What else we got?
We've got the community organization side. We are recommending moving the signage from Church Street to North Main because of more people. They're going to be removing that sign because that sign.
The sign has been built. If you're familiar out on Church Street by
David Ostrander built it years ago.
Old Shore, the lattice
Yeah,
court,
yeah.
Mr. Nash came to me, I know a year ago, and said, no, don't even do that. At least a year ago, and said, man, that thing looks really ratty. So we have been to all the organizations. I think that the Rec Association and Rotary has given us a sign, and Ruritan's have given us a sign. We had the signs, and we gave them to Signs Design and More. But I think the cost for building that signage, the mounting, we could do it so much cheaper. So our guys are welding together the frame, and that we should be able to put it up relatively soon. They were welding on it the other day. But it's out on Church Street. I don't think that gets you the highest amount of, or the largest amount of attraction. My recommendation would be to put it, and the committee's recommendation was to put it not at L.V. Harris's old property, because we don't have a lot of property there, but back at there's a DBI sign and a planter welcome to Blackstone sign, and I would put it on that hill between the two of them.
One almost across the street from Miss Jones's driveway,
There you go.
that area.
I think that'd be fine. Yeah,
I think common consent, I mean, I don't know if we really need to.
the comments. And most signs, sadly, are not big enough. But like I said, it does show signs of a vibrant community. It just shows you they got a lot of
Yeah.
different clubs.
And it's gonna be vastly reduced. It's much smaller, and there's probably a dozen plus signs on there now. We don't have a Moose Lodge anymore.
That's true.
You know, the Arts Council is
Eagles
not
Lodge,
active anymore.
Eagles.
So it's gonna be smaller, and I can tell you, the Rotary sign and,
Good. I hope it is big. That's good.
yeah, and the rec sign would be, you'll find that too.
That's great. Very good.
So we have a comment, okay, on that one, okay. Then the historical landmark signage, we do want to recommend purchasing 2 signs from Watkins at 160 each to place in the town square and C Park, and there should be a sample of that in our packet.
I'd entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
Sorry.
Motion been made by Mr. Nash, seconded by Mr. Morgan. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That'll be great. That will promote our historic district in more than just one place.
Right, right. In C Park, we're going to continue the meeting on Friday. We had discussion about the Armory. We've had several people asking for uses, but I think the last time we voted on that, there will be no use of the Armory until the referendum. And I think that's where we still stand. It was not, it was discussed, but there were no recommendations, so.
Okay. We can wait a month. People are starting to kind of, I've had 2 requests about the Armory from legitimate organizations, and I said, look, wait till spring, after spring, because I just don't know what council's going to do.
The, and while we're speaking about the Armory and potential community center, the mayor knows that the subcommittee of the cities, towns, and counties committee at the General Assembly, which is made up of the House delegate members, was convened last Thursday night at 5 o'clock, and the town's charter amendment was heard by the subcommittee, made up of 6 and the chairman, plus 2 absent, if I'm not mistaken, and the end result was it was passed on to the full committee with a favorable recommendation.
And I
from
thank
the
him for
subcommittee.
going. I was going to go, and I was ill. I see a hand from Mr. Zach Whitlow.
Do we know the time of the continuation Friday for that committee?
Was it 2?
It's 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. You know, it's 4 of them, right?
What's that?
It's not 15, we have the tourism committee meeting that day as well.
I'll have to do it later. We can schedule that
Time is
later.
that at?
Just
So
2.
we may need to check that time.
All right. I hate to prod, but we need to.
We got, that's it.
Move on.
How about I'm curious real quick, Veterans Day event. Right now that's been the last 2 years the town's done it. Do
I
we
think we
want to?
said we'd continue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. All right, then no other committee reports. Thank you, Mrs. Hasbrook. That's a busy committee. And we have no consent agenda items that I'm aware of that's in the packet. So we move on to unfinished business where we're going to roll. But we do have a Cox Road water line request to extend water lines out of town.
This is the same request we heard back in the fall. We did provide the county with a letter asking them to assist us with mandatory connection. I think it's in Mr. Vaughn's
It's
district.
District 4.
Mr. Rourke received the letter. Mr. Vaughn did indicate that he would be, I think at one of their board meetings, that he would talk to the residents.
did say
To
that.
date, I have heard nothing back from the county.
I can tell you, they said it hasn't happened yet.
Not gonna happen.
I said, they said it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, okay. So we're still waiting a response from the county. I think Ms. Hines, her pleas are impassioned, and yes, old wells, especially when we get a lot of rain, like these folks, these old board wells don't bode well. But she did make one statement in the letter I wanted to clarify for the record.
Okay.
She, in her letter, Ms. Hines asserted that the council had asked the matter be tabled indefinitely. That's not the case. That was
Mr.
the
Vaughn.
county. That was the county
That
that
was the
asked
county.
it to be tabled indefinitely.
But Mr. Vaughn did say last Thursday he was going to resume conversations because we're at their mercy. If they don't let us do tap fees,
We can't
mandatory
make it
connections,
Financially,
we can't justify it to the people of Blackstone. Unfinished business number 2, we've done, did that for about an hour. Award the bids for the airport maintenance building.
I'm working on my Chromebook here.
I'm having a hard time with mine tonight too.
Are you?
Thank you, Mrs. Yates, for coming.
I'm not leaving.
Oh, well,
I
good.
just have to let my husband know.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave.
she's okay.
January 14, 2020, staff publicly opened sealed bids for demolition and reconstruction of a maintenance building at the airport. If you're familiar with it, it's the building closest to the field farm. It's not a hangar building. We store our new tractor in there, mowing equipment, such things. And the termites have really taken that thing into a bad direction. We did bid it out. 2 bids were received, the apparent low bidder being Borum Electric. However, the apparent low bidder's documentation and bid submittal did not include an appropriate bid bond. Same thing we did with the overhead electric guys, if you remember, about a year ago. Therefore, and I think there was a recommendation letter from B&B, Stating as such, included in your packet, we're recommending award not to the low bidder, Bourne Electric, who is $87,000. We're making recommendation to RF Howerton. I think they're in Rawlings or Warfield, Virginia, in the amount of $90,294. We are not recommending award of either alternate. And the alternates were, instead of a architectural shingle roof, that they could put a standing seam metal roof, and I think at $15,000, which was his cost of the alternate, it's too much. And the other was to replace the entire concrete slab and not try to salvage the concrete slab was there. And I'm not recommending to do that either. I think the slab that's there is adequate to store a tractor on it and park lawnmowers. I don't think we need to worry about it.
You've heard the town manager's recommendation to award the lowest responsible bidder.
There you go.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Mr. Morgan's moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Colonel Tom Wilkinson. I'll ask for a roll call vote because of the dollar amount, starting with Ms. Hasbrook.
Aye.
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 I will note very quickly that this project has already been submitted to the Virginia Aviation Board. They have to have pricing, so we did the bidding. It's our expectation we will move forward with the project. However, we have submitted to the Virginia Board of Aviation. On February 8th, they will consider it. Staff has recommended an 80% grant award
Nice.
out of that $90,000. So
Very
we hope
nice.
that's the case. We hope it works out. But February 8th, we'll know. And hopefully 80% of this will be offset by state aviation funds.
We're on good terms with state aviation folks.
Yeah.
We get favorable from them. That's very nice. Unfinished business number 4, we have the FTA Section 5311 grant application, which, did we just do that earlier in finance? That's right, all right. Moving right along to ongoing projects, we have dilapidated buildings. What's up with that on North Main Street?
Manor Van Orbeck received an executed agreement for the removal of an abandoned structure on North Main. It's an old house right behind L.V. Harris's shop,
Oh, okay.
owned by Miss Williams. I think the Williams sisters own it, Teresa and Geraldine. Nice ladies. They both live in New York City, and that house has been boarded up since I was here last time, and it just gotten to a point where the back has crumbled. They've been agreeable. We've also had to work with the next door neighbor, Wanda Epps,
We
who
just
owns the
rezoned for
property
her.
next door. We did a rezoning for her, and the logical place for us to access that building is through Wanda's property. So we did, if you noticed, there were a town crew up there today. Wanda had a septic tank right in the drive going to the house, so we knocked in the septic tank and filled it full of gravel today. And it needed to be done for her to build a house anyhow, but that saves our truck from ending up in the septic tank. So town staff did demolish that septic tank.
Come to any agreement with getting them to possibly make any kind of means? of-
Yes, it's $100 a month payment, or $150 a month
Okay,
payment.
good
Yep.
job. I'm all for it then.
They are making them payment on
As
this.
long as something's-
And they've already signed that, and it's in an indemnity agreement, which basically waives their, if,
And there was no
indemnifies the
asbestos in
town.
house.
Huh?
There was no asbestos in the house.
And there's no asbestos in the house, it's clear.
Nothing on meals tax and nothing on street improvement projects.
I do want to go back, if I may, very quickly, to dilapidated buildings.
You may.
Asking for permission. That daggone warehouse down there on Tunstall Avenue.
Oh, yeah. You notified them.
And we put it in the paper and notified them a second time. The notification runs out, I think it ran on, I looked at my notes earlier, it ran on the 1st and the 7th of the newspaper publishing dates, was that right? Maybe in the 7th.
Second and the 9th.
2nd and 9th.
First and the 8th, I'm sorry, first and the 8th.
1st and the 8th,
Yeah.
it ran, and they were given 30 days to notify us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'd like authorization to proceed on with Tessie when that period of February 8th
Yeah.
terminates, to begin the process of, I really don't want to do it because it's going to be expensive to tear it down. And,
Any
but
communication from the owner?
We can't let the fire department have.
You can, and I would love for you to burn it, but you have a very vociferous anti-burning resident that lives about a block away. And Miss Russell's not crazy about us burning. When we burned LV's
As the
warehouse
crow
over
flies,
there,
yeah, she's close, yeah.
she would tell us.
As
There's a
the
lot of
smoke, as the smoke curls, yeah.
We can save a lot of money by doing it, but I think you're probably gonna have to wade through some concern from citizens about the smoke.
Do you want to just agree by common consent to let him talk to the town attorney and see what
Yeah,
happens after
obviously
February
we
8th?
need a cost estimate too.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be expensive, yeah. I mean,
Is it gonna be $50,000 expensive, $100,000 expensive?
Oh, that's a
I can't visualize,
We're
I
not
remember,
taking the slab out, and it's just a wood frame structure, so no, I don't think it's $50,000 or $100,000.
Okay.
I think your tipping fees are gonna be painful. I'd say you're in a $25,000 project.
Can we, something like that, we've never done it before, but can we take it out to the town old dump?
Rocky Bottom.
And burn it there?
I think we did that with some trailers from over at Castle Trailer Park.
that's smart,
Because
Mr.
that's a
Nash.
whole-
Remember that?
We don't have to pay tipping costs.
Right. And you're not violating any ordinance because you can burn in the county. I like that. Mr. Nash is tight, isn't he? I like that.
Obviously, we need a cost of what it's gonna cost to tear it down. 'Cause then we gotta that's a lot to transport out there.
All right, well, you keep
But it
moving that
is-
direction.
First thing we gotta do is get the judge to tell us we can do it.
You can do
So
it.
that's what I'm asking now, and I'll be working on the other items and how much we talking about. I believe $25,000 is your figure. It's not heavy material, it's not concrete, it's not masonry. It's just wood frame with
Bulky.
metal.
Yeah, oh, it's gonna be a mess.
But the contents, I don't know what's in the thing, underneath the rubble that just collapsed, yeah.
All right, there's nothing on item 2 or 3. We get to some really good news going on in Blackstone. Number 4, the Rugglesworth Sports Complex with the curb and guttering and lighting. Mr. Vanoy back.
Sidewalk and street improvements, phase one of the project are well underway. I would say we're at 70% complete. Their estimate 3/4 of the concrete work is complete, 75%. Antique lighting and pavement still remain to be completed. The pavement, I expect to have, I hope to have down, depending on if the contractor's telling me correctly, before baseball season starts. The antique lights, Dan, if you looked at your bill list today, there were $11,000 in the electric department for Sternberg lighting, and those are the lights for the project. So Dan will be doing the installation of those.
$11,000 for how many poles?
6?
That's not bad. It's not bad.
I think it's 6, yeah.
Very
That's
good.
included in the grant project. I mean, that's.
That was part of our,
That's gonna really improve that area. That's gonna really, and plus safety, more lighting. That's
just so
great.
you know, in the next 30 days, we will start design on phase 2. We've been awarded another very gracious grant award from VDOT. And so everybody knows that first phase was we have the match on the electric poles and that sort of thing, but it was a $239,000 grant for the first phase that's undergoing construction right now. Second phase will go the entire perimeter of the baseball complex and create a walking trail, okay, with antique lighting and sidewalks to the schools. That has been awarded, and it's another about $300,000.
And that, is a grant, how much is a grant in phase 2, roughly?
About 300.
So $500,000, folks. Good, good work.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get that on the street in the next 6 months. Maybe this time next year we'll build it.
That's great, great. Moving right along, folks, we have nothing on item number 5, nothing on East End. Well, we do have something on East End. We have some recommendations for 3 homes.
I don't think the council needs to vote on these. These are typically voted on by the rehab board, and the recommendations were made by Earl and Earlene and Yvonne and I. But these are the 3 homes, 100 Viewbank Street, 500 Tavern Street, and 108 Viewbank Street are the next 3. These have been awarded, and they'll be working, award amounts range from $35,000 to $48,000.
These are significant renovations, I guess. Not rebuilds, but renovations.
Well, we were gonna rebuild 100 Viewbank Street, but because there's only 2 residents in the house, you can only have 2 bedrooms, and that individual wanted to retain a 3 bedroom, so it's a massive renovation project.
Very good. Outstanding. Moving right along then. What else do we have? Rental property maintenance. The rental inspections are still going on a monthly basis. That's going on well. Weatherization, we have a bid award, a recommended bid for $30,455 from SS&S Contracting.
That was also awarded by the rehab board, SS&S, and it is a home that's owned by the Dagner family. It's at 518 Center Street, and the work is probably halfway done.
That's
It's
just,
ready.
Is it done?
Yeah, she told me yesterday the only thing he had to do was put the lights up.
There's one thing I don't like, that they're leaving the carpet in there in the living room. And if you've gone in there, I think that maybe we need to talk about a more durable flooring option in the living room. So we may do something a little bit on the flooring. But yeah, they've been working on it crazy. We've got a couple things that we need to do. We have an abandoned vehicle that I got to get out of there that's not operable or licensed, and there's an appreciable number of dogs on the property, in excess of the town's ordinances. Okay?
Enforce those.
We will be enforcing both before we can finish and turn loose the house. There's almost a dozen dogs back there. There's a bunch of pit bulls.
doesn't,
In the house.
you cannot have more than 4, you cannot have it more than
That's
4
why I
dogs.
report to you
4
that we'll be,
domesticated animals. That means dogs.
Yeah, a combination of 4,
I know.
max.
As I was doing an inspection there the other day, a lot of dogs over there, and pit bulls, They're like a little bench leg pit bull. There's a bunch of them. They're taken care of, but there's an excess of 4. So we got to get back down to 4, and we got
They
to
can get a no, you can get a kennel permit and have more than 4, can't they?
You have to have zoning, and that's in a residential.
Gotcha.
district.
That's right. That's
Dog
right.
kennel would have to have some.
You're right. You're right.
commercial zoning. So we're gonna work on number of dogs, and we're gonna work on
Ain't no more than the
right.
60.
abandoned vehicle. I don't think these are the homeowner's dogs. Myself, I don't think she has 8 or 10, 12 pit bulls. I think maybe it's family or other people that may keep them there. So
Okay.
we need to reduce that number. On Center Street.
On 518 Center Street. Or
She's been a blessing to deal with, man. She's been great.
Yeah.
down there, they're down there. If they're confined to the property, they're really out of everybody's way. But the ordinance is the ordinance, as Mr. Nash has said.
We need to get back down to 4 dogs. So if Ms. Dagner calls you, or Sheila in your district, if Ms. Dagner calls you, we're gonna be making contact with her and work with her to get that number of dogs.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I
I see
think
nothing.
she's a very easy person to work
Oh, yeah,
with.
she's great. She's been awesome.
I see nothing else under old business other than the comprehensive plan, which y'all are still discussing. I would ask this for something food for thought on the town manager, and I mention this mainly because of DMAC. Across the street from where there could be on College Avenue, just from, if you know where Jenny Davis Bunn lives and Dr. Leroy Bradshaw, that field there, okay, right now doesn't have any zoning, basically, other than public open
Public
space.
open- No, the vast majority of that field was rezoned today.
But the frontage is what,
You got 150 feet
Correct.
depth. From
And directly across the street, where there's nothing but stick-built homes, for some reason that's R2. I would ask the planning council, planning commission, and this council to look at where there are places in town where there are neighborhoods that have been developed, and they are stick-built single-family homes, and they happen to be R2, to look back and moving them back to R1. Because R1 is really sacrosanct residential, and R2, the argument's going to be made if the townhouses are proposed across from Jenny Davis Bunn that, hey, look, y'all are R2, and they really shouldn't be R2. Well, why should Eddie Nash be R2?
Just because I guess they were years ago in '92. I don't know a compelling reason why it was.
so I guess the mayor's saying we possibly need to update what our true
Well,
zoning
I can tell you, if the concern is moving forward, I don't think you have to worry about Dr. Bradshaw and Jenny. But Harris Daniels' house is zoned R1 already. Those lots that are owned by ViewMac, which are below this,
They're R1.
are already.
Well, that's fine. I just
And that
think,
may be the solution is to agree to maybe rezoning that strip
Right.
along
the
the
same
road to
as what
R1.
Ms. Nicholas's house is.
And so that would only permit stick-built houses.
yeah, just to protect neighbors from people, they don't, most people, as we've seen tonight, don't take the time, they don't have the time to go learn the zoning ordinance. But R1 is your most pristine. And I'm not against R2, but I'm just saying where we have homes built and there's no land available, and they happen to be, they look like R1, they should be R1. That's just my thoughts. My thoughts only, but I think R1 is, when people look to buy a house and look at zoning, Lonnie and I live R1. When I bought the house, I said, please be R1, and it was.
The one difference is in that neighborhood, there are some duplexes where people have converted single family into multifamily.
The old Moody house on the corner.
That is a duplex.
Yeah, there's a couple of them around there.
Good point. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Just something
we
to
may
think
be-
about.
We may be able to hang our hat on the fact that
Right.
R1 is already on that side of the road where it already wraps around it.
Or
That's
maybe-
the easy.
Maybe not allow condos in R2, maybe condos are R3. Just a thought, just a thought. We need to move along, folks, it's late. I commit, y'all all get a medal tonight for staying here. God bless y'all.
Billy,
I'm serious.
I got a question about unfinished business. Street and light, when you talked about the truck route,
Yes,
what's the status? of
I
it?
have an advertisement out to bid right now
Oh,
for
please get that.
engineering services. In fact, an engineer called me today. I don't know the exact date when it's due, but I'm supposed to get a statement of qualifications back from hopefully 2 or 3. And I've spoken with 3 different firms. I've spoken with
go
B&B,
crank back over
obviously,
again.
Burton Profit, and Moffitt and Nickel. And
VDOT on board with this?
not yet. We're gonna get this guy hired, or this individual hired, and I do think it'll interface with our parking project up here along Brown Street. If we're gonna 4 trucks down there, we wanna make sure that I don't limit or curtail the ability of traffic to get through there with a 3-way stop or something to build that parking lot. So we're waiting for responses to come back on those. But it has been advertised, and I've been out on the street 2 weeks.
All right, very good. Moving on to new business, we're gonna ride this thing home. Surplus items, we do have some items we do need to declare surplus, and that does require a motion by council. They're old stuff that we do every year, 89 Dodge pickup, et cetera.
When do we haven't had an auction in a while. We probably ought to schedule one.
We don't do auctions anymore.
Gov deals?
We do everything on Gov Deals. We get so much better pricing.
Okay.
Easier for the staff.
We
too.
get offers for $100 on cars, we'll get 300.
Okay, I just wanted,
But everything is being
I didn't know if we
competitively,
were piling something right there.
We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Morgan has seconded Mr. Nash's motion to declare them surplus and dispatch of them. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The Hodges Street water line we have taken care of earlier. That was a good moment, and that constituent, I think, has good faith in government.
I'm just not sure how she bought a house with the, because a house with a will is required to have an inspection. To hear that they just sold it. Just bought it.
Moving on to personal property supplements. Ladies and gentlemen, in your packet and members of council, you'll see there have been some folks that we boundary adjustment a few years ago, and they never got the town tax bill because the county didn't let us know we.
No, they've been getting them for many years. It's just over the past 3 years, for some reason, they just have not been on the county's roll. As
So
you
y'all-
know,
So previously they had been.
before the 3 years they had been. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So
for these
y'all got to
3
decide,
years,
do you want to let them slide? Or do you want to go out and get them for the last 3 years?
We'll tell you, we've had one individual pay 1 year, the most recent year, 2019. And as everybody knows, Mr. Wilkinson lives on said street, and he brought it to our attention. He said, I didn't get a tax bill.
So what a good citizen he is. I'll tell you what.
He came to pay his taxes and didn't even have a bill. He said, Phil, we got a problem. So we went to
I
Commissioner
was told
Revenue.
that I didn't live in the town. I said,
I resent that remark.
So we went back to the
Same thing about my
commissioner and she's
And it's
found
not
where,
for real estate, it's just for personal property. Because by this list,
yes, it's all
it's
personal
just
property.
personal property.
Can you go back through, does the town have
Legally,
their,
we can go back 3, but
Can we just do 2019, what was currently due?
it's a grand total of $900 for the 3
Yeah,
years,
it's not-
$900.
with about half of it being in 2019.
Correct.
Would y'all be opposed to saying just 2019?
2019 is good.
I move that we,
There's a mistake made.
yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't our fault.
Even though we all had to
The
pay
tickets that were prepared by the county.
So,
This year's open to
2019,
fars here, folks.
I move that we, and
Oh, wait a
if it needs to be a payment plan, whatever, I mean, but nothing's on there large,
Just 2019.
just 2019 be collected.
Or would you want them to pay the whole amount, but give them a certain amount of time to pay? I mean, 'cause we all had to pay ours.
I really don't care, I mean, to be honest.
I would really urge
fairness.
caution here in fairness. I would urge caution here. And I commend Councilman Wilkinson and Citizen Wilkinson for his,
When do we typically get tax bills? It's in November, first of November?
No, we try to get them out a little earlier, maybe 1st of October.
All right, so however long would they have from October to when they're due on December 15th? Give them the same amount of time
yeah.
as we had when we
So
actually.
just
nobody
2019 or
at
for
these
the whole
addresses
amount?
questioned why they hadn't received, other than,
Sterling Citizen did question why he had not.
He's the
received
only
tax
one.
bill.
I think some people should visit and forget, to be honest with you. I do think so.
What the people I lived with thought was going on is that they thought they paid the county tax and that it was more than what they would have
But they
paid.
are being
for
billed by the
nothing.
county.
And
they
so
got
that's
billed
why
by
they
the county,
thought,
but
well,
not-
okay,
These residents are on the 10th Street, Beach Cliff Road, College Road.
we didn't live
They were in the boundary adjusted areas from 92. For some reason, that's,
So are you, but it's not all of them on.
no, it skips.
It's-
It's
yes.
weird, it's not that many.
It's a total of about 12 residences from last year.
So are you going for 3 years or just?
2019, give them 3 months to pay the outstanding balance.
How about, so you're not worried about 18 or 17?
What about if,
Unless,
the rest of us had to pay ours.
I don't know, that might be a
I
problem.
say give them 3 months to pay y'all.
Yeah, that might be a problem.
well, I mean, we're looking, I mean, I'm open for whatever.
The dollar value is not important here as much as symbolism and the fairness.
That's fine.
I say the total amount, you can give them 3 months to
I
pay.
withdraw my
90 days to
motion.
pay.
All right. I
Go
did
ahead
see
and make
Mr.
sure.
Allen
That's
Queen had
fair. I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know, it seems like since the government, the local government, whether it be the county or the town, whatever, were the ones that did not send in the bill, I don't see how they can be held accountable for that.
Because you know you owe it,
But-
whether you get a bill or not.
I mean, if I don't get a bill, I'm not asking to give my money away. I
You
mean,
still-
you gotta send me a bill, or I'm
you
not,
still
I'm not
owe it.
saying, here's some free money that you didn't ask for.
Well, it does
If
say
y'all
on
didn't- If
the,
y'all didn't send a bill, then that's all. that's
But
all-
you have a Form 762, you must fill it every year to register your property, which I'm sure these people did. And the county didn't do it. Jake Allman.
I don't know, it's the county's job to send the bill, they don't do their job,
charge the
why
county.
should we?
Yeah, but it's revenue that would come to the town, not the county.
I would go from here to the Board of Supervisors meeting and complain up there.
What is council's pleasure?
You're heard at the board of
Yeah.
supervisors.
Lonnie had a motion, I think.
Lonnie, you had a motion?
They can pay
I
on
make a motion to
installment.
pay the total amount, but give them 90 days, I mean, in all fairness.
Second.
And any penalty or interest will be
No,
waived.
no penalty. In.
Correct,
Penalty.
correct. Motion been made by Mr. Morgan.
Hold on, we gotta make, cause I'll tell Brittany what to do.
Everyone from-
Penalty or interest, and this is from 2016 to 19?
Yes, everyone on our list.
2016 to 2019, and 90 days to pay.
Yes, a total of $900. And that motion been made and seconded. I'm gonna entertain Chris Page real quick.
Who's seconding them?
I just want to say, what's your backup plan if somebody's going through a hard time, you know, they're just getting hit with all this at one time?
The average bill is around, some of them are 34 cents, some of them are $1.47. The highest bill is 160.
They're very small amounts.
Yeah.
It's 900.
Yeah, the total for all of
Correct.
them is $900, not
Correct,
just
correct.
one.
Some 66.
Mr. Morgan made the motion.
And
Who
Mr. Nash seconded.
Okay.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, 6-0. 6-0. 6-0. All right. Most of those folks in Ward, most of those folks in Ward B. They're in Ward B, some of them, Beach Cliff. All right, committee referrals, I have none. Under Mayor's Minute, I have one announcement that most of y'all know. The Tech Triumph Historical Marker is on the way to Blackstone. And I'm gonna coordinate with this council and the Tourism Committee, me thinking out loud, it's possible that the marker may not be best suited at the property because of eyeballs and volume of traffic.
Can't stop it.
So we're talking about maybe the tavern, the town square, but I'll be talking to some of y'all privately about the ceremony because I have a plan that we will unveil the marker. But there's something else I want to do that I can't legally talk about it. If I were to talk about it tonight, I'd ruin a surprise, and I can't legally talk about it other than I talk about it one-on-one with y'all privately. And Zach, I'll be doing that with you, but it'll be something wide. It's a surprise that I think might be significant, and I'll leave it at that. Very positive. Police report. Chief's not here, but we're obviously everything going well. We've seen you have to go a few times. We appreciate what you do. Any questions, members of council? Citizens, this is your second and final chance to address council. And Jim Hasbrook, I'm going to answer your question. I read your minds well. I've been derelict. We're going to have a follow-up on the October work session. Am I read correctly? I'm tired, but I can. All right. Oh, my goodness, we have Sue Yates from Citizens for Better Nottaway Government. The Citizens for Better Nottaway County.
And the wash bucket.
And the Wash Bucket Initiative.
Okay, but what I just want to make a comment tonight. I came here to see how your meeting was run. And as you all know, Billy, I've become a vocal advocate for our First Amendment rights to be heard as citizens. I've become obnoxious at the Board of Supervisors and intend to stay obnoxious about that point. I want to commend you guys. I feel like I am like in shock that you listened to the citizens instead of turning everybody off. You had some citizens come here tonight with some pretty important stuff. And the fact that you listened to these people and met their needs is incredible. And I think it says a lot for, we're all small towns out here, and it's the kind of treatment you expect. You know what I mean? You
Well,
just
appreciate that.
expect to be treated better. And I really want to commend you guys. I am so impressed.
Well, thank you so much. It means a lot. This guy, good counsel and a great staff. That's the hardest job in Nottaway County right
Well,
there.
you know I've been battling this.
We know. Keep the faith. It'll come around. It'll come around.
My petition's getting signed.
Good. I saw several hands. Who else? I see. I'm gonna go with Mr. Zach Whitlow. He's been quiet tonight, so we're gonna let Zach have a moment.
I'm sure y'all already saw it, but just want to let you know DVI provided hard copies of our 2019 annual report, such your station.
And I want to thank you, Zach. Zach told me something over the week when we applied to be a Main Street community in 2007, and there was a lot of angst about what Main Street was going to be. There were 15 vacant downtown properties. We're fixing to go to 5. 6 right now. Great work, everybody.
Can we include that in the new the packet that we give to new residents?
The low vacancy rate.
Well, the packet that.
Oh, the Main Street report. Absolutely. If we can make copies, absolutely include it in the report. Absolutely. Who else? I saw G. Allen Queen.
No, I just had a question. Does the town have a safety officer?
The town have a safety officer? We have. You mean as far as in personnel?
Like a position that is responsible for making sure that the town employees, the town workers are following OSHA, they have proper PPE and all those sorts of things.
Department
right there.
I would imagine Dan Martin and Philip Norbeck, I would think.
Well, I don't think we have anybody designated, but if you look at your board packet, there's a Virginia, Maryland Association of Electric Co-ops every month, and they do a training schedule, a training program. We have an outside consultant that comes in and does safety consulting and makes recommendations to the guys in the shop, how to lift, how to properly do certain things. We also have a VML Vaco, who's our insurance carrier. I think they're now Versa. They send down a safety consultant. But as far as on staff, I don't have anybody.
I'm thinking because y'all mentioned earlier that you're looking at an HR position.
I think they're discussing that.
You have like an HR / HR person position. I know we've had something similar to that, at Fort Pickett. I just feel like safety is utterly important in the job. You also have somebody on staff that's overseeing that for all your town employees.
We had a recent vacancy over in the DMV area, so I think it's a better shot possibility of having an HR / a lot of other hats. It can't just be HR and safety. They're gonna have a lot of different hats. Possibly. That's a budget. Correct. Oh, yeah. That's a budget issue.
It's a budget issue, and we'll talk about that. Jim Hasbro.
Yeah, I can only mention a couple of items that
Yeah.
you want to consider.
Sure.
When you start to fill that HR job, you look at ethics, civil rights. You know, there's some training and exposure that would benefit the employees as well, and just make a little more well-rounded approach down to doing the jobs.
I think that's definitely today's culture. You can't have enough of that.
No, I mean, ethics is also one of those things that always comes up, and it only comes up when it's too late.
When it's bad.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's good to be out in front of it and actually have disciplinary penalties and all that, so people know what to expect, you know, as they go through the job.
Very good, very good. I saw Chris Page. Chris Page, we've had a big night tonight.
We have. I just wanted to bring up the issue on 6th Academy, the parking over there every day. It's bad, there's illegal parking.
Well, we took action, I thought, to remedy that. Is this still?
Some action when I came down and complained to the police station, but so yesterday there was a car parked there.
Yeah.
Did we have the no parking signs up?
No, the
We
council.
banned parking last month.
Council
Two
said I
spaces.
had to speak with the property owners prior to enforcement.
That was probably my idea, too.
He's a nice guy.
Say the stop signs here, there's a car parked right here, you know, and there's one here, so you can't see, and then there's one here next to the church, and then one here, and you just can't see.
Well, then maybe we need to go ahead. We've had a month. Maybe just, council, you want to authorize the manager to proceed with enforcement?
And we'll still talk to them.
Yeah. All right, we're going to agree by common consent to proceed with enforcement. Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? I want to say something I forgot to do. Last month, we were all carried away. Beverly Ames, I want to personally and publicly thank you for your assistance on parade night. I know the parade got way late, delayed, but without you out there helping line up, I know Walter Mack and a bunch of folks did a lot of work, but your lineup out there, you were out there. I didn't expect to see you because it wasn't a chamber event per se anymore, but you did a great job that night. I want to thank you for that.
11 years, I figure I must know how to get it right.
And just to clarify, because I had a lot of concerns about, all right, the town's given a donation for the past 2 years, so the chamber actually gave us $700 back. They showed their expenses. It's in the packet.
Oh, great.
As to what the expenses exactly were, so the town will receive back $700.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much, Bev. They didn't want to forget about you. Folks, we've had a big meeting, and Sue Yates' comments mean a lot to me and mean a lot to y'all and staff, because if we can't do it right in Blackstone, we can't do it right anywhere. I think we're doing it right. Thank y'all. Meeting adjourned at 10:20. Lord have mercy.
I'm surprised we got through it.
Well, I think